Welcome back. We are still talking about honeybees. And today I wanted to explain to you the different parts of a honeybee and how they actually make their honey. Shall we get started? Okay, so let's start with the parts of a honeybee. So as you know, a honeybee is a type of insect, and insects have three parts of their body. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So let's start with the bee's head. Let's start there. Can you see my little bee's head? So this little bee has antenna. It has two large eyes and then three little eyes. It also has a mouth, and then this long thing that comes down is called a proboscis. The antenna of a honeybee is how the honeybee smells things. And the eyes, these two big ones, are called compound eyes, and they can see all the time. They are what they usually use to see every day. These little eyes are called ocelli. They're little tiny simple eyes, and they use those eyes when they're inside the hive under low light or dim light. And then this thing, the proboscis that comes out, is kind of like when you have those things you blow at a birthday party. They're curled up and then you blow it and they unravel and they come out. Well, that's how a proboscis works. When the honeybee wants to eat something, like nectar, it rolls out that proboscis and it sucks up the nectar like it's a straw. So that is the honeybee's head. The next thing we have will be the thorax, right? The thorax is next. This is the honeybee's thorax. And so on the honeybee's thorax, we have the honeybee's wings, and the honeybee has two wings on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you count those with me? Let's put it under our honeybee here. Go like that. Can you count those wings again with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. It also, on the thorax, has all 6 of its legs. Let's count them. 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the legs do something different from each other. So the first legs usually clean the honeybee's head or the antenna. They kind of use them like this. These middle legs are the legs that they use to collect pollen and to put the pollen in their hind legs where they have sacs to carry all of the pollen. That's probably it about the thorax. The last part of the honeybee is the abdomen, and it's the largest part of the bee because inside the abdomen are the honeybee's stomach, maybe intestines, basically their digestive system, the reproductive organs if they're going to make babies, and also if it's a female worker bee or a queen bee, the famous stinger is on the abdomen. Now, drone bees, which are males, the boys, they don't have stingers. But the females, the girls, the queen bee and the worker bees, they have a stinger on their abdomen. So there you have the bee. We have our head, our thorax, and our abdomen. Now we're going to talk about where a honeybee lives. A honeybee usually lives in a hive that's usually in a tree tree limb here. And they find a place where they can live out of danger of other animals, maybe of humans. And they start to build a hive, right, on the end of a branch, or maybe in the crevice of a tree, sometimes in the hole of a tree, the tree hollow. They start making this hive. And this hive is made out of long tubes in each. The tubes kind of look like a straw. Can you see this? Is it like a straw? Oops. But it's in the shape of a hexagon, right? So it has 6 sides. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is one tube, and they put tube after tube after tube. So the tubes would go like this, right? So if you were to look at it in the front, let's see, it would look like this. If you were to turn it to the side, it would have a bunch of tubes down the back. So that is what is inside this beehive, a bunch of these combs, they call it. And in these combs, right, in these straws, they'll put different things. They'll put maybe some honeybee eggs, some larvae. Maybe they'll put some honey, right, to store it in there. But they're just little storage chambers, and it's all inside here. And they fill it up with tons of honey because when the bees go into wintertime, they all stay in the hive, and that's what they will survive off, is all of that honey. And they put larvae or their eggs in here too, because worker bee honeys, they only live about 10-15 days or so. They don't live very long. So they're constantly having new worker bees born over and over again. And there are hundreds and thousands of bees that can live in a hive. It's very busy, right? Is that joke getting old yet? No. So the way that the honeybees make their honey is they go from plant to plant, flower to flower, and they like to eat the pollen. The pollen is actually a honeybee's food. They eat it, and it has all the nutrients they need. Protein, minerals, vitamins, everything. It's natural goodness. They eat the pollen, and then they store some, again, on their hind legs, on those sacs. The nectar they drink through that proboscis. It's a sugary, watery drink, and they take it in. And when that nectar goes in their bodies and mixes with a certain chemical in their bodies, they start to almost sweat out wax. That's how they get their wax. And they go back to their hive, and they start to chew and eat all of this pollen and the nectar, and they mix it all up, and then they kind of feed each other from mouth to mouth. They exchange it. And when they do that, when they transfer the nectar from one bee to another bee, they extract all that water out of it, and then it turns into honey. It's kind of weird, right? And then that other bee that now has all this honey in their mouth, they go into these tubes, these combs, and they deposit the honey into these tubes. It's quite the process. The bees work together. The only person who's in charge is the queen bee because she's laying eggs. All the worker bees feed her, and all the worker bees are the ones going in and out of the hive, going to the flowers, exchanging the nectar and the pollen between them each other, and they go back out and they come back in, and it's a busy bees. They're busy bees. So that's pretty much how honeybees work. The 3 parts to the honeybee: their beehive, honeycombs, and pollen and nectar. If you have any more questions about honeybees, make sure you email me and I'd be happy to answer them. All right, big trees, that's our lesson on honeybees. I hope you liked it. See you later. Goodbye.